All sorts of firsts and all sorts of, well, the last time that happened was way back decades ago when Michigan and Michigan State get together in East Lansing this Saturday. Huge game in the Big Ten Eastern Division, 7-0 versus 7-0. We got Ryan O'Blennis on the line from the Only Colors, the SB Nation platform from Michigan State. We would ask that you would check out their platform as well as like the video, share these videos out on social media, and subscribe right here at the Voice of College Football. Hey, Ryan.
Hey, Mark. Thanks for having me back.
Of course. Thanks for coming on to talk Michigan State. So this is always important within the state. This is always important to Big Ten fans and, of course, Michigan State fans. But, man, 7-0 versus 7-0. I believe I heard on the Big Ten Network today that this is the first time we've had this matchup this late in the season, undefeated team since 1964. And like I mentioned off the top, there's probably a long list of those kind of type of statistics and fun facts concerning this game, because this just doesn't happen in any rivalry very often, but especially it hasn't happened in this one.
Yeah, I believe it's the first time in general since 2010 that both teams are undefeated, but I think that might have been 5-0 or 6-0. So yeah, it's been a while since both teams were 7-0. I also believe it's the first time since the 1960s when both teams are ranked in the AP top 10. So it's a bit of a different feel, pretty high stakes this year.
Absolutely. And so let's focus on Michigan State, and then we'll get into the rivalry. So with Michigan State, last effort was against Indiana, of course, the bye week. This past week, really that was the first game where the offense was working maybe a little less than effectively. Kenneth Walker held 84 yards rushing. Those deep shots in the passing game weren't as frequent as they had been for a quarterback in Peyton Thorne, who had 15 touchdowns and 4 picks coming into this game against Michigan. So any concerns about the offensive lack of explosion and efficiency in that Indiana game?
I think that a lot of credit there needs to be given to Indiana and their game plan, and they shut down, Kenneth Walker in the running game, and they just kind of caused havoc there. Jaden Reed did have a drop on what would have been one of those long touchdowns and kind of would have shifted the momentum of the game. But yeah, for much of the season, it was Michigan State's offense that was pretty much winning these games, while the defense played a bend don't break style. In that Indiana game, it was the defense that won that game, holding the Hoosiers out of the end zone for the majority of the game. I think they only allowed 1 touchdown in that whole game, and getting big sacks and big turnovers when it counted, when the offense was struggling. So I don't think I really have any concerns about the offense moving forward. Michigan, is a really tough defense, and they're not going to allow a lot of big plays like that. But I think that I was more encouraged from that game, seeing the defense actually step up, because for a lot of the year it was the other way around.
We got Ryan O'Blennis on the line, Michigan State's SB Nation platform, the Only Color. So check out his work, the rest of the staff over there. Please hit the like button as we provide you with college football analysis every day, best discussion, debate, and analysis right here at the Voice of College Football. So as you look at it yourself, plus certainly with a number of your media folks that both at your site and elsewhere, and the fans chiming in, really grinding down the X's and O's and the matchup of this one. Where do you feel as though Michigan State strong, may have an advantage? Not that Michigan's really weak anywhere on either side of the ball. And where might the concerns lie for Sparty?
Yeah, so I think the big thing is, when you look at Michigan, is that they're a top 5 team rushing the football. They average something like 253 yards per game. That's what they want to do: run the ball, grind you out, grind the clock. What they're not very strong at is passing the football. I believe they rank something like 104th in the nation and average less than 190 yards passing per game. So I think the key matchup here, what you want to do if you're the Michigan State defense, is shut down the run with Blake Corum and Hassan Haskins, and force Cade McNamara, or if he's in there, JJ McCarthy, to beat you in the passing game. I think that another key matchup where the game is going to be won is in the trenches, because Michigan is a very good team at running the football, and Michigan State's a very good team at running the football. Michigan's a good team at stopping the run. Michigan State's a good team at stopping the run. So those are going to be the important matchups. But, where the difference could be made is in that passing game, especially if MSU forces Michigan to beat them in the passing game, shuts down the run. And then for Michigan State, if, Peyton Thorne can hit a couple of deep shots to Jaden Reed or Jalen Naylor, that's going to open up the game. Or, if those guys are covered, maybe it's a game where Trey Mosley, the kind of third receiver, has a big day and makes a difference. But yeah, so the biggest matchup to me is, can Michigan pass the football? Because they honestly haven't proved that they can really do that yet.
Christmas is coming, folks. We've got an Amazon link in the description section below. So basically, that's the same shopping experience. So please use the link that we provide. Doesn't cost you a penny. Again, same shopping experience, and you help us build the channel. And we know you're going to be on Amazon for the holiday season. We got Ryan O'Blentis on the line from the Only Colors, SB Nation, Michigan State, Sparty 7-0, Amazing Blues 7-0. I just checked you on 2010. So my first thought when you said 2010 and they were both undefeated is that Michigan State had a great year. They played Alabama on New Year's Day. They tied for the Big Ten championship. So that made sense. And I thought, Michigan, wasn't that like a 7-6 season where they got blasted in a bowl game? But yep, got off to a 5-0 start before Sparty took them down 34-17. And then they imploded from there towards 7-6 and Rich Rod's last season in Ann Arbor. All right. Your thoughts and remembrances of this rivalry. What comes to mind when people bring up Michigan State to you?
I think the first thing that probably comes to mind for me, and probably a lot of Michigan State fans in particular, is the 2015 trouble with the snap game. Just one of the most ridiculous endings of all time. Jalen Watts Jackson, is forever going to be a Michigan State folklore hero after that one, with the botched snap that Michigan State came back and won. And of course, that season they went on to make the college football playoff. So it was just a huge thing. But, there was also the negative 48-yard rushing game, that comes to mind. And then, just so many other ones where, in this, I believe Michigan State's won, 9 of the last 13 now. So, you really seen a shift in the momentum of this rivalry, and people look at the overall rivalry where Michigan, has a huge lead in it. But a lot of that stuff was pre-World War I, like, that Michigan claims with their wins, and, the 1950s happen, and then the 2000s happen, and you just see Michigan State getting closer and closer. For in the beginning of this series, all these games are pretty much played in Ann Arbor, which gives them a big advantage in the overall series too. But yeah, the 2015 game is definitely the one for me.
Yeah, Mark D'Antonio is going to be remembered fondly at Michigan State for a number of things. Raising the bar, the standards, certainly from a program that I'm going to guesstimate was right around a 55 to 60 winning percentage for decades and decades, going back to the 60s, to Cotton Bowl wins, Rose Bowl wins, I believe 3 Big Ten championships, residents in the top 10 a number of times. And then that exactly coming to town saying, we're not going to be second fiddle to Michigan. And then, following through on that and living up to his words. No question about that. We got Ryan O'Blentis on the line, Michigan State, SB Nation, the Only Colors. And again, please like the video, share these videos out on social media. So does it appear from what Mel Tucker says at news conferences, and maybe even before this week, that he gets the rivalry?
Yeah, he definitely gets it. He doesn't even like to call Michigan by name. He calls them that school down the road. And he, last year, nobody expected Michigan State to win that game, but you could tell that in that locker room, the emphasis that, Tucker put on it and that the players put on it. And it's the same thing this year. Tucker at his press conference talked today about how, he went over the history of, the rivalry and the Paul Bunyan Trophy with his team. And there was something like 45 new players on MSU's roster this year through transfers and freshmen and walk-ons. So a lot of those guys may not, while they understand the rivalry, they may not have understood how deep it really goes. So Tucker and his staff, they literally are giving like history lessons about it and why this is such an important game, why it's a rivalry, and why it's important to win this game.